Right, so the National Consumer Commission has teamed up with a fraud prevention service to safeguard consumers against online scams. The Commission says it has noticed a sharp increase in online financial scams, and to combat this, consumers can now visit a dedicated platform which will tell them whether a website is legitimate or being used in a scam. Let's discuss this further. We're joined via Teams by Joseph Selolo, National Consumer Commission Company Secretary. Joseph, good afternoon, and thank you for your time with us here on the SABC at this hour. Perhaps at this point, you could talk to us about the more prevalent and common online scams that consumers are being faced with.
Good afternoon to you and the viewers. The scams are never common. They are highly varied. However, we can state that what we have seen are the scams that we call online shopping scams, where the scammer would create a website that mimics the real website. It really looks like the website you would be looking for, but it's actually not that website. In other instances, they just create a website not mimicking anyone, advertise goods, but once you've ordered and paid, you never receive your goods. And then there is your usual investment scams, where the website will be saying you can invest with us, but only thing that it does is just to take your money. And there's, of course, your work from home scams. So the scams are varied.
All right, Joseph, thank you for that context. Because as we look at fraud detection in financial transactions, perhaps you could speak to some of the tools available. What should people be looking for when they want to access some of the tools that could help them mitigate against some of these challenges that are coming to the fore in relation to cybersecurity and fraud?
Yeah. So when it comes to online scams, the first line of defense is the consumer themselves. What you need to do is to ensure that you transact with websites that are trustworthy, and you do a little bit of research, check reviews, then so that you can at least satisfy yourself about the authenticity of that website. Now, the NCC, as you correctly indicated in the intro, we have teamed up with the South African Fraud Prevention Services, and there is a tool called YIMA, which is also available now on the NCC website, where you can go and then enter the URL of the website you want to transact with, and then scan it. So you will get the results that will either show you if it is a suspected scam website, or a blocked website, or a blacklisted website, or indeed a genuine website.
All right, thank you for that. Because as we look at accessing this tool at large, just looking at some of the tips available as well, navigating this, what should consumers mostly be aware of to safeguard against?
Yeah, look, in the tool itself, there's many useful tips that are there. There are just too many for me to try and read out now. But yes, if you go in there and you go onto that tool, you should be able to get tips on how to view the websites, how to things to avoid, the date. So if you then go and you check you scan a website, the date when it was put up, you can see that this date is much. It was put up yesterday, for example, and things such as the language that is used on that website. So those can help you check a website whether it is genuine or not, and of course the reviews. So if you go on the internet and you check the reviews or on a particular website, you should be able to see if other people are actually complaining about that website or not.
What about people who have succumbed to fraud and breaches in their cybersecurity? What are some of the measures that they should undertake perhaps in relation to what's transpired, particularly as we enter this festive season as well?
All right. So let's differentiate about the scam and cyber security, where we might be going towards the side of hacking, right? So where your security has been compromised, if you have your own network and so on, and usually in that event, you'll find that your personal information has then been taken. You need then to contact your security provider, your internet security provider or your cyber security provider, for them to assist you with assessing what was lost and to what extent, and to put in place cyber security measures that can then protect your device. But if you have been scammed, you have now succumbed to a scam and you have identified that it is a scam, you then go to the NCC website and go onto our complaints portal and lodge your complaints, and also contact the South African Police Services. But what we will do is then, once we receive your complaint, we will then look into the matter and, where possible, investigate with a view of attempting to recover the money that you may have lost. But as we know, these are scams. The money moves about quite quickly.
No, absolutely, Joseph. When we look at the nature and the evolution of fraud and financial crimes as well, I mean, talk to that. Perhaps help us understand what it has evolved from, and really also some of the future risks associated as we scan, the terrain.
Okay. Again, let's do a quick clarification, right? We're not talking about crime. If we're talking about crime, only the SAPS will be able to talk about that. So we are talking about defined conduct, that is, we generally call it a scam. Now, how that has evolved is that what people would do, or criminals would do in the past, it would be contact crime, where people would come to you and try to take your money away from you. Now, when we're talking about the online or cyber, it's where now people are using the online tools to try and access your personal information and or your bank accounts, or to get you to willingly give them your money. So they will be saying, we have a wonderful investment. If you invest your money with us, this is the percentage you will get. But you then willingly put your money into that investment vehicle, only to find that there is no such a vehicle. It is an out-and-out scam.
All right, thank you for that clarity. Because then as we begin to quantify the losses, perhaps in this financial year alone, what's it looking like in reality for South Africa?
Yeah, I do not have the statistics offhand, but we are aware that it is billions of rands. The figures for this quarter are not yet out, but the last two quarters, the figures were running into quite a bit of billions of rands, but I do not have the figures offhand.
And then the role of social media as well. How does that play a factor in some of the ads, the pop-up ads, the cookies, etc., that people are confronted with, and how it impacts, their susceptibility or vulnerability as well?
Yeah, when we talk about cookies, we're talking about cyber security. We're talking about malware and antiviruses and so on. So that is what you, as a user, need to make sure that your devices have the necessary antivirus and necessary protections. But what happens with social media is that it is now also being used to advertise a variety of online shopping, investments, and so on. And that's where the bulk of the scams are happening.
All right, Joseph, thank you for that information. Of course, there's so many questions associated with the phenomenon and really how to safeguard consumers in South Africa at large, particularly, as we enter the holiday season. But we'll leave that conversation there for now. And thank you for your time with us here on the SABC at the SAWA. Joseph Selolo, National Consumer Commission Company Secretary, really just chatting about online scams and fraud. Again, just in relation to the festive period, the holiday season that we're entering as a nation.